The Celtics got hot at the right time and got the win. Derrick White was hot the whole game, and Jaylen Brown is just confusing the hell out of me right now. It's all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Beantown, be ever ready. It's the C's. Who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT, Karalis. We kept the madness every game, every practice. Prime time, dapping D White on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. Your team is the Boston Celtics, and I talk about them every day, Monday through Friday, plus bonus podcasts. This is a Friday night game, so you get a Friday night podcast. Tomorrow's a Saturday night game. You get a Saturday night podcast. 7 podcasts in a row this week, plus 6 more next week, 13 in a row. So make sure you subscribe. Show's available everywhere. It's on YouTube. Get into the comment section there. Share your thoughts with everybody. It's the #1 Boston Celtics podcast on the #1 sports podcasting network. So thank you, everydayers, people who are with me, all of these shows, for making it that. I am John Karalis. If you're new to the show, I'm a beat writer covering the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. I've been doing a version of this job for about 20 years. I've been doing this podcast for 10. Those are big numbers. And I've written a couple of books about the team. Today, we are talking about the Boston Celtics getting a 129-116 win over the Miami Heat. Always feels good to beat Miami. It always feels like when the Miami Heat come in here, some rando goes off for, a big monster shooting night. And of course they did. For the, you get Kasparis Jakušionis, 5 of 8 from 3. Simone Fontecchio, who's known as a 3-point shooter, 4 of 9. Kel'el Ware, 6 of 7 from 3. Like, come on. The guy who's supposed to hit him, Norm Powell, is 1 for 11. But everyone else goes, berserk. We'll get into later on. I get into Jaylen Brown, whose numbers were amazing, whose game made me think, like, what's wrong with Jaylen? It's a very confusing night. I'll get into that later on. I'll get into Derrick White. But the story of this game is the Celtics getting right at the hot at the right time. About 4 minutes to go in the third quarter, the Heat were winning every margin. They were winning the shooting battle. The Celtics got crushed on the boards. They gave up a ton more shots. And then things started to change. All of a sudden, Miami cooled off and the Celtics got going. They forced a couple of turnovers. The defense stepped up a little bit. They started to rebound a little bit. And next thing you know, in the fourth quarter, it was off to the races. The Celtics shot 10 of 15 from 3 in the fourth quarter. The Heat were 11 for 23 overall in the fourth quarter. They were 5 of 14. So the Celtics outscored the Heat by 10 in the fourth quarter because they hit 5 more threes. So it was all of a sudden just a monster shooting performance after what started out as a poor shooting performance. The Celtics, I say through like the first, I cut it off at the 4-minute mark in the third quarter. So at that point, Miami was shooting 38%. The Celtics were 7 of 19. Miami was 9 of 23. From that point on, 4 minutes in the third quarter, Miami was 4 of 12. The Celtics were 8 of 14. So after that, well, actually, no, that's 8 of 14. This is above the break. They were 1 of 2 in the court. So anyway, I'm reading the wrong numbers. I apologize. But they were basically the Heat, 9 of 23 above the break, 3 of 4 from the corner. So what's that? 12 of 27, 14 of 33 overall from 3. The Celtics were 7 of 19, 8 of 21, 10 of 26 through the beginning of about 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. This is exciting podcasting. 8 of 14 plus 2 of 2 from the left corner, 1 of 1 from the right corner. So 3 of 3, 8, 9, 10, 11 of 17. That's what they were after the 4-minute mark. Basically, all of that just to say they got super, super hot. Miami went cold and the Celtics ran away with it. Sam Hauser just got hot. I was, felt like I was Kevin Bacon at the end of Animal House where all is well, and he just gets trampled, like all the people running off of the Sam Hauser bandwagon, trampling me in the process, running back now. Maybe you pick me up and help me up because he shot 5 of 6 from 3 in this game. He kind of back to his normal self. That was nice to see. You got really just big shooting performances beyond Derrick White in the fourth quarter from like Hugo hits one, Jaylen hits a couple, Derrick obviously hits a couple, Simons gets in on the act. The Celtics had 41 bench points. That's not something you normally see. So, but the bigger picture here is that shooting saved the Celtics from ultimately what was a very frustrating game to me up until that stretch, the final 16 minutes. And that's like, you had Hugo playing that whole time, Sam playing that whole time, Anthony playing that whole time. The Celtics lost all of the margins and they looked bad. I spent much of the first half like actually angry at the Celtics. They had Norm Powell, 4 minutes into the game, Norm Powell had a second foul. Now, this is the Miami Heat playing on a back-to-back. They were without Jovic, Pell Larson, who else? Tyler Hero, Davion Mitchell, Andrew Wiggins. They were shorthanded. And here's Norm Powell 4 minutes into the game with his second foul, and they didn't attack him at all after that. They didn't put him in any of the actions. It's not like they tried to put him in the actions. Miami pre-switched and everything was, we tried, but we couldn't do it. They didn't do it at all. They didn't try. Jaylen Brown was hell-bent on attacking the Yakuchionis matchup. He's a young kid. I don't know. I really don't know much about him. But Jaylen was going at him over and over and over again, and with very little success, and was hell-bent on that instead of going into the Norm Powell matchup. So I spent the beginning of this game like, what is going on here? And the Celtics were falling behind. And if Miami was any good at this point, because they're so decimated, they don't have Hero, like I said. They're, if they were whole, I mean, maybe the Celtics' attitude would have been different, but if this was a different matchup playing the way they played, the Celtics would have gotten crushed in the first few quarters. They lost the field goal attempt mark. They gave up 102 field goal attempts. They gave up 17 offensive rebounds. Miami took 6 more 3-pointers than they did. They took the same amount of free throw attempts. The Celtics turned it over 3 more times. They allowed 8 more points off turnover. So the Celtics turned it over 16 times for 25 points, where Miami turned it over 13 for 17. All of these margins, this is all the stuff that Joe Mazzulla emphasizes, and the Celtics were unable to win. The 24-11 deficit in second chance points, brutal. That's not a game that you normally win, but Derrick White was the guy. He was the guy, and I'll get into his shooting performance and the rest, Hugo Gonzalez, Jaylen Brown, when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by DoorDash. The season's heating up. DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching highlights, tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes it easy the entire season to have more fun. Every player has their bag, and with DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stored, stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. There are nights where your team stresses you out. The Celtics did here. DoorDash lets you become your post-game therapy. DoorDash becomes your post-game therapy. You didn't need the post-game therapy in this game, but I was very close to ordering that dessert to meet me at my door when I got home. If the group chat says pull up, DoorDash makes sure you show up prepared. Snacks, cups, even a phone charger for that friend who's always at 2%. From tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, gear, whatever gets you through the season delivered right to your door. DoorDash in your bag all season long. Today's show is also brought to you by Rocket Money. If you ever feel like your money just disappears, it can happen fast. Few subscriptions here, an impulse buy there, and suddenly the numbers in your bank account don't match the numbers in your head. Rocket Money helps you get clarity, track every dollar, and stay in control of your finances, especially this time of year. You're spending so much on different subscriptions to catch all of the games you want to see and all of the gifts that you want to give and all of that stuff. So managing your money shouldn't feel like a second job. Rocket Money does all the heavy lifting for you so you can save more and stress less. They find subscriptions that you forgot that you were paying for, and it helps you clean them up quickly. You can see all your spending on one dashboard that makes it easier to understand where your money is going. The bill alerts and spending notifications help you catch small things before they turn into big expenses. Having the app find good times to save each month helps keep you consistent with your financial goals. Take control of your finances and cancel unwanted subscriptions with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. If you are an everydayer, I know you are. You're here with me every Monday through Friday, plus all these bonus podcasts on the weekends. Level up. Join the Everydayer Club. You can get this show ad-free audio-wise, ad-free audio of Locked On Celtics. You can get exclusive access to our Discord server. You can get merch. You can get all of that stuff by signing up at lockedonceltics.supercast.com, lockedonceltics.supercast.com. Join the Everydayer Club. Level up your fandom over here at Locked On Celtics. Derrick White was just amazing. My favorite moment of the game was probably Derrick White's insane heat check. Forget who was guarding him, but it was like a fadeaway, kind of launch it a little bit higher. Every pregame he fires these kind of like banner scraping high shots. Just I don't know why, but it feels like he's preparing for some kind of possibility of needing to fire one up like that. He does it every pregame, and it was almost that kind of shot. He banks it in. He's running back, and he looks at the bench like, right? Did you see that? What's going on here? He was 9 of 14 from 3 in this game, like slump busted in a big way. His 3-point percentage actually rose 2 full points from this one shooting night. It's still not great. It's like 35%, but it's, this is the type of thing where, again, we're hoping for consistency with Derrick so he can start stacking these up. Obviously not 9 of 14, but hopefully the 9 of 14, you're going into this next game kind of happy that this is a back-to-back against Toronto. Let's keep that thing going. Get out there and, keep shooting. Just let's start. Can we get the Raptors in here and just keep the floor down? I know they switched over to hockey, but let's put that floor back down and keep Derrick White shooting. He was just feeling it, everything. If it wasn't for Derrick White, and it's easy to say this about a guy who dropped 33. If it wasn't for Derrick White, they weren't nowhere close to winning this game because he was the guy that was keeping them in striking distance the whole night. The Celtics, I cannot stress this enough. They were just kind of like nothing was working. The Heat were kind of like walling them off a little bit. It's not that they kept them out of the paint, but they made it difficult to get into the paint. The Celtics were still finding shots, and they were just missing a lot of them. But Derrick White wasn't, and he was just so huge in this. But beyond that, he had 33 points, but 6 assists, 5 rebounds, 4 blocked shots. He did everything. This was a very souped up classic Derrick White performance where he did a little bit of everything. It was funny. After the game, somebody was reading off one of his stat lines saying, you're the first Celtic to score 30 points and have at least 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 block shots, and have 9 threes. He was like, by the time you got to the end of the stats, he was just like, okay. And he said, it feels like the more stats you add, the less it means. But it's cool to be the first person to do anything in Celtics history. So if that's how you got to do it, that's how you got to do it. But an incredible night for Derrick, who did everything. The Celtics didn't get much. Well, okay. Let me just see. Didn't get anything from Baylor Shireman, but the bench was huge. Hugo Gonzalez was big. He comes in and he changes the entire energy. He plays some center. The Celtics went super small, and that did contribute to some of the rebounding problems. Although the very first possession of the game, the Miami had 3 offensive rebounds. So we're not blaming it all on a small ball lineup. Keita was on the floor for this. I don't think Keita was particularly great in this game. And he fell hard a couple of times. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's on the injury report for the Toronto game. He fell right in the small of his back. He didn't seem like he was moving well. So, but he was on the floor. Keita was on the floor for a lot of it. In fact, he grabbed a rebound late in the game. And Joe Mazzulla was like, see, that's what you do. Grabbing the rebound. He was like very excited that Keita went out and grabbed an actual rebound. So Keita was not great. So they went small, and Hugo comes in, plays almost 30 minutes, and was second only to Derrick White. D. White was a plus 27. Hugo was a plus 22. 4 of 7 shooting. He hits a 3. He had 8 rebounds, a couple of steals, a block. High energy, man. Hugo is, a young kid, but comes in with that energy. And this is the beauty of this Celtics team, and also the curse of the Celtics team. You don't have any one guy that is standing out. So that's the curse. That's the part where it's like you'd like to have a set rotation of, okay, this is when Jordan comes in. This is when Hugo comes in. This is when Josh comes in, and like somebody would separate themselves. Nobody has separated themselves necessarily. Minot comes in. He had a good stretch, but it wasn't a great game. But he did have a good stretch. His energy was really important early. So he had a 5-minute portion of the game where he came in and impacted it. And that's kind of what you want from these guys, right? If it's only 5 minutes, then great. That's 5 minutes that you played great. Baylor Shireman came in for 5 minutes and was terrible. So you know what? This wasn't his game. Against Toronto, he might have 15 great minutes. And tomorrow's podcast is like, oh, wow, Baylor Shireman really, his energy really changed things. That's what these Celtics are. This was an Hugo Gonzalez game. He comes in, changes the energy, physical, high energy, makes good plays. Not perfect, but he makes good plays. So credit to him for that performance. He had a nice game. So Simons chipped in, shot 6 of 10, 2 of 5. That was great. Like I said, Hauser, steps up. Who else? Jordan Walsh, nothing notable from Walsh, although stretches of really good defense again. Pritchard was kind of like a nothing in this game. All right, not a big deal because they won. I've already talked about Keita, and that brings me to Jaylen Brown, who, listen, I know how this is going to sound. If I didn't look at the box score, I would in no way come anywhere close to the stats that he put up if I had to guess. If I read these stats and you haven't seen the game, you're going to think I'm an absolute lunatic from what I'm about to say. Jaylen Brown scored 30 points on 9 of 18 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3, 10 of 11 from the line. He had 9 rebounds, 7 assists, and a steal. He did have 5 turnovers, which is not great. But 30 points, another 30-point game on 50% shooting from 2 and 3. 10 of 11 from the line, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. Whenever you get within 3 stats of a triple-double, you're flirting with the triple-double. So he flirted with the triple-double. You look at that box score and you're like, boom, JB stepping up. What a game. My eyes looked at Jaylen Brown and said, what is wrong with Jaylen tonight? His first half was not good. In fact, the first half numbers will tell you, like, hold on one second here. Let me get this first half numbers here for Jaylen Brown. 2 of 7 shooting, 0 of 1 from 3, 2 of 2 from the line. He did have 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 turnovers. 6 points, a -1. That's his halftime in almost 18 minutes. 6 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 of 7 shooting, a -1. He turned that into 30 points plus 8. His third quarter. Okay. I'll explain myself. So obviously the first half, everybody agrees, not great. Third quarter, was living at the free throw line. It's not like he went off and had like, we've seen Jaylen Brown's big quarters. And this was 7 of 8 from the line. He was 4 of 6 overall, 7 of 8 from the line. I just felt like those fouls, like he was just he was getting himself into the paint. He was getting himself into the teeth of the defense. I don't think if he wasn't fouled, I don't think that shot had any chance of going in. I didn't like the process of getting to where he got. And ultimately he got fouled. And I think that's more a testament to what Miami was doing and how they weren't great. It just didn't feel like a typical awesome Jaylen Brown night. But then he ends up with 15 points in the quarter. So I'm like, oh, well, I guess you can't argue with that. And then in the fourth quarter, he wasn't even on the floor for all of the big explosion. Then he checks in, immediately hits a 3-pointer, hits 2 of 3 from 3 in the last 5-6 minutes of the game, and checks out with a 30-piece. It's just so weird. It's so like this game and the last podcast, I did the same thing. And they're going to be Jaylen Brown fans who are like, oh, here comes John Karalis, the hater. Here comes the hater. Can't just enjoy a 30-piece. But I'm telling you, I'm not alone. I know that there are people out there that were like, Jaylen didn't look his best. I guess where I'm going with this is it's kind of amazing that you can be this good. How do you not look good and drop 30 and flirt with a triple-double? 39 and 7? That's incredible. It's, again, a testament to how good Jaylen is, because I've seen Jaylen look like this, and he has been like this. He's been like this against Miami. I've seen this kind of thing from him before, and it's been terrible stats. I guess he's progressed to a point where he looks like this, looks a little lost, looks a little slow, and he's still able to put up 30 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists. That's kind of incredible. It's very confusing to me, but he's doing it. It's incredible. How many times did I just say incredible? Larry, Ted. For those who are listening, I have statues of Larry Bird and Ted Williams and Bobby Orr back there behind me, and Carl Yastrzemski over there. I'm upstairs on the 9th floor of TD Garden recording this podcast. This is a bonus podcast, which is over right now. So thank you all for being here on this bonus podcast. Celtics get the win. They snapped their 2-game losing streak. At the end, you never apologize for for winning an NBA game. Not great. A lot of things that didn't go well. Hopefully they can fix some of those things against the Toronto Raptors. Saturday night, Toronto Raptors at Toronto. I will give you another post-game podcast after that. So make sure you're subscribed, watch the show on YouTube, get into the comment section there. If you're an everydayer, thank you so much for being with me every Monday through Friday. Thank you so much for being here with these bonus podcasts. If you want to join the Everydayer Club, $5 a month, $50 for the year to join the Everydayers Club. What you get is ad-free audio. You get access to our Discord server. You get merch. You get other perks. If you are, if we made you Spotify Wrapped, tag us on social media, tag the network on social media, and they'll give you a free month. So do all of that stuff. And then if you do nothing else, please share the podcast and tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.